next generation of Baltimore sports talk.
Today on the show, the zany one is out, but we have a more than adequate replacement. And we will discuss the end of the Ravens season. We'll also share our best memories of 2016. That is, if we can come up with any. And we will have our usual 3 up and 3 down segment. Again, good luck to us for coming up with some ups this week. All that and more on this edition of Section 336.
Section 336. Section 336. Section 336. It's the new Baltimore generation talking about the Orioles and the Ravens. And someday Josh, Bert, and Matt might even find time to talk about the Blasts. This is the world's greatest podcast. No better place to talk about sports that are being played in Baltimore. Section 336. Section 336. Section 336. Section 336.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Baltimore sports fans of all ages, welcome to Section 336, the next generation of Baltimore sports talk. I'm your endearly stuttering host, Matt Soroka. As always, I'm joined by the Let me try that again. As always, I'm joined by the button lover, Josh Soroka.
How's it going? We've seen a lot of each other with the holidays.
That's right. It's the Christmas season. The fact that we're brothers.
Right.
That happens.
The fact that we got to do a lot of family stuff.
Yeah. But the Zany Barody's out and sitting in his seat, as you all can see on the Facebook live feed that we produce every Tuesday at 7:30. ErocRDT from Barstool Sports. Eric, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Always love having you on. You've been on quite a few times.
I think 3 or 4. I'm almost, I think, at 5. So
okay, sweet. Absolutely.
That's got to be the record for guest hosts.
Yeah,
right.
Derek Arnold has been on here a few times, but I don't think 4.
No,
I think probably 3.
No, Eric did a great job filling in while you were in Africa, and Bert was in Florida.
Oh, that's right.
We did the 2-man show before, so always great to have him on.
Thank you.
So at one point, Eric, you did a show just with Josh.
Yep.
That's incredible. Props to you. I know that was terrible. Even I won't do that, so that's gutsy. So good for you. When I heard Bert was out, I was like, Josh, we're not doing the show unless we get a third person, because I'm not just sitting here with you the whole time and talking to you.
Because if it's just you and I, we're just yelling at each other.
Yeah, it doesn't end well. Save Eric to mediate between the two. All right, we got it.
Try.
This is the final show of 2016. A lot of people are excited for 2016 to end, which understandably. It's been a rough year in Baltimore sports.
Yeah. Everyone loses.
Yeah, everyone loses. Except you know who doesn't lose?
The listeners, Section 336.
Well, that's always true.
I mean, where are you going?
What's the one Maryland sports team to win this year?
The Blast.
The Blast.
The Blast.
The Blast are still champions. They won championship in 2016. So the Blast are still champions.
Hey, we've been talking. If people want to go, I think it's the 14th of January. We're going to be heading up and check out the Blast.
Yeah. So stay tuned for more details on a trip to Baltimore.
In a few weeks.
To the World Farms Arena to see the Baltimore Blast. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's cool. We'll go see some soccer.
We'll go see a winning franchise.
Right. Now that's
in Baltimore.
That's called a match, right? Not a game.
I think it's a match.
Because as I've been in communication with the Blast and all, I'll type game and I'll be like, that doesn't look right. So I'll change it to match and I'm like, I think that's right. And then I'm like, is it still the pitch if it's indoors? I said, I'll just leave it at match and say arena. Right? Because a pitch is outdoor soccer field, right?
Yeah.
What's an indoor soccer field?
I think it's an arena.
An arena?
Yeah. Or I think the building is certainly an arena.
Right.
Maybe the field is still a pitch,
Still
though.
a pit, I think so.
Yeah.
An indoor pitch sounds weird.
Yeah.
So I never went with pitch, but I kept making sure to replace game with match.
And it's like
so
I'd
sound like I knew what I was talking about.
Their jerseys are called kits. Like
kits?
They're like, they're going to wear their alternate kits this week.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
That must be because of all the advertising.
Probably.
When we go, I'm going to take a notepad. I'm going to be taking a lot of notes. I'm going to figure this whole soccer thing out.
I explained that I haven't been. I said, I don't think we've been to a Blast game in at least 30 years.
Yeah.
I said, because I can't.
I don't recall ever going.
Oh, I went. Bert and I went together when we were like 7 years old.
But not with our father. Our father would never take us to a soccer game. You kidding me?
Maybe. Remember, back then we had no football.
But
So we only had baseball.
Still, Dad always hated soccer.
So, yeah, you're right. I probably went with Bert's dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every kid in the neighborhood always played soccer growing up, but not us. We weren't allowed. Soccer was, you played baseball, you played basketball.
I played, you know what? I prepared all these icons of what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Did not prepare anything for the blast. I did not think we'd get into the blast. But I did play one season of intramural soccer.
Oh, good for you.
So I played a little bit.
Good for you.
And you played in Africa. So we're like soccer pros.
That's true. I played goalie.
All right.
I was the tallest and I had no other skills, so I
And
was
you played
goalie.
against little kids.
Yeah. High schoolers who were pretty darn
Bigger
good.
and better than you.
It wasn't like that time when I taught Salisbury Middle School and the teachers played a bunch of 8th graders and they beat us. It wasn't like that time. So that happened too.
You know what? I played with some kids in Africa too. And what's impressive with the kids in Africa is they're in bare feet and just juking you left and right. And you're in your shoes just sliding.
Yeah, it's true. So I want to talk about 2016 as a whole. We'll get into. Do you guys want to start with the Ravens, or do you want to start with the Orioles? So, how do you want to do this?
Let's start with the Ravens.
Good,
Let's get rid of the bad, and then
yeah.
we can hope for the future.
All right, let's start with the Ravens. They lost to the Steelers. Josh, you and I watched it together, and this will be the iconic moment of the 2016 Ravens season. It's going to be that image of an Antonio Brown
Stretching.
reaching that ball over the end zone for a touchdown, 6 inches, and he doesn't get the touchdown. The clock probably runs out, and they lose.
Right.
But he reaches that over because he's a great football player and makes a great football play, and holds it over. And that's going to be when we think of the 2016 season, just like we think about Buck Showalter not putting Zach Britton.
Right.
We're going to think about that play and us not being able to hold Antonio Brown back from putting that ball over the end zone. That's it, right?
It is, and it's one of those plays where you don't expect to lose that way, because whenever you see someone reach out like that in a pile, they get the ball knocked out or something.
Especially with 3 guys right there too.
Right,
and it was Weddle who's always around the ball who
hits hard. Yeah,
I kind of figured that he would be, he'd either pop the ball loose as he was reaching, or he would at least clamp his arms down. I feel like if he would have, if you see the replay, he grabbed the face mask. But I think if he grabs the arm
instead of the face mask.
Yeah, but then I was talking to my buddies yesterday how I was wondering, because they didn't call the face mask on the play.
Yeah.
What if I just lost it?
If he didn't go in and they called the face mask, they get one play. They get one play on the 0
Well, there
yard
was
line.
still like 7 seconds left, so the clock would have stopped at that point.
If they called the
They didn't with the penalty, yeah.
Right.
And then started, yeah. It's just that game. It's so much represented how this Ravens season has gone, and even that play, the fact that he had 3 guys on him, and all the Ravens had to do was hold him and push him back, and just by inches he gets that stretch to him. But really, should we even be talking much about that? The real play is the decision earlier with Kyle Juszczyk.
What decision with Kyle Juszczyk?
Whether or not to go in the end zone.
That's not a decision.
I think you have to.
Yeah, you
have
always. And I was screaming, that you should take a knee at the
You
one.
were saying during the
But-
game, you were saying
I
take
was,
the knee on the one.
because I've seen it happen too many times with Big Ben driving down with a minute left, or any quarterback driving against the Ravens with a minute left when we go into prevent defense. It happens every time. And I knew the second Kyle Juszczyk scored, I knew we lost the game, because that's just how it works. But you can't take a knee at the one, right? Like, you have to take the point.
Who knows what happens if Flacco fumbles? Something
or
like
if
that.
Our offensive line isn't a studs if you don't get in.
Yeah, and it's not like you got a big bruising back there. Would Kenneth Dixon probably have put it in more than not
With 4 shots at the one?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you just can't. I think you have to score there, and I don't think Kyle Juszczyk is thinking as he is running down. I think he got tripped too, or he bowled some guy over, and
So
he
he's
kind of
like
put his hand
half
down.
crawling.
Yeah, he put his arm down to kind of crawl. I don't think he's thinking, oh man, do I put my knee down or do I stay down? I mean, he's a football player that he's been taught to score that his entire life.
And that was my
He's
agree.
a Harvard guy though, isn't he? Okay.
And I agree with you guys. And I did the Locked On Ravens podcast with Ken McCusick, Mr. Film Study, yesterday.
Yeah.
And he was adamant that it was a horrible coaching decision, that in the headsets it should have came, hey, drop at the 1 if you get through.
Oh, really? He
Yeah.
thought that.
He said, yeah.
Wow, that's surprising.
So he says that it's a play that the Ravens should have practiced, should have known to be in this situation, and that he says that your chance of winning the game increases by ending on that 1. If you stop on that 1, you have a 63% chance of winning. If you score, you have a 55% chance of winning.
Yeah, that's interesting because at that point you just need a field goal to tie,
Right.
and so it's not like they had to drive all the way down for a touchdown. I mean, they did, but even just a field goal would have tied at that point. Yeah, that's interesting that from the mathematical standpoint that makes
Right.
sense to me.
Yeah, and so the math
But
makes
no
sense.
coach is going to tell the player to
Don't
go
score.
down 1.
No, exactly.
No coach is doing that.
Right. You're not. It's way different than telling a defensive guy to go down. Especially any time when you're behind and you need to score, you always go for the points.
And if you go down the 1, what you're saying to your defense is you're telling the defense,
you suck.
You can't stop them for a minute to drive all down the field.
Now-
we don't trust the defense to make a stop.
Now the unfortunate thing is we shouldn't have trusted the defense.
No, second half they were bad, and I don't think this game kind of represents. I thought we played really well.
It's a weird game because at times they played really well, at times they played really bad.
Yeah.
The defense in the fourth quarter was horrible.
But the defense all year, I feel like, has been somewhat inconsistent. And we blame it sometimes on the offense because the offense isn't on the field that much, and so the defense is on the field a lot more. But we've seen the defense come out and start out strong, stopping the opponents for the first few drives.
Yeah. The
So
problem
this is par for the course thing with the defense. I
Right.
thought Joe Flacco played really well.
I thought Tavon Young had a great game. I mean, Antonio Brown was pretty quiet until the end of that game.
It was the first half. I think he had like 1 catch
Yeah.
for like 7 yards
Yeah,
or something
so
like that. And
that
then it just
gi-
exploded.
Right, so that gives me hope for like next year is young guys like that and Stanley on the line. Flacco seemed to. Did you notice that Flacco seemed to get better the second half of the year?
Yeah, I think at this point we know who Flacco is. He's inconsistent. He'll have really good games, have really good series of games, and have really
Right.
bad games too every year. You can win a Super Bowl with him. He's shown that, and so that's I think all you want. But he's not an elite. He's not a Tom Brady kind of guy.
Right. But we got through a season with him healthy after coming off the injury. So I think that gives us hope for next year. But we got a lot of old guys. And those old guys, I think, tired out in the fourth quarter of this game, as in Elvis Dumerville, Terrell Suggs.
Eric Weddle's an older guy.
Eric Weddle. But the secondary had a pretty good game all around.
Not at the end, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I think it was like the beginning of the fourth quarter where they were like 2 or 3 plays in a row where Brown was just wide open, and it was, I mean,
Yeah,
wide
sure.
open for days,
Yeah.
and it
Like
was
now within 5 yards. Yeah,
and it was like because I mean they were running the crossing routes and there was no one around him. And
Right.
I'm like, this is insane because he's the best football player maybe in football.
And it wasn't like
And
a blown
there's no one
coverage or
there.
anything.
No.
Like the guy was there.
Yeah.
he was
You
just
just run by
expecting him to go straight to down the field. I don't know, a fly route every
it
time.
was Sharice Wright. I mean, I remember they showed some replays and Sharice Wright just
Yeah.
did not. I mean, he looked terrified out there, and I'm sure he was.
It hurt not having Jimmy Smith.
Yeah,
it would have been a different
that's-
outcome without Jimmy
yeah.
Smith.
The Steelers scored 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Oh, really? That was all in the fourth
Yeah.
quarter?
So outside of, if you remember, they had that first drive that they scored on,
Yeah.
where we didn't look that good, but then we came back right away.
Yeah.
Then it was Ravens dominated that game, and it looked like, I remember at one point watching the game and saying, if we score a touchdown here, it's locked up. This game's over.
Right.
We didn't. We got a field goal.
Right. And it was an entertaining game though, and that's Ravens Steelers. It's always great, and from that standpoint, it's exactly what I expected. 3-point game, or it ended up being a 4-point game with extra point, but coming right down to the end. Just as a football fan, if you don't care for the Ravens or the Steelers, just watching football, it's a great
Right.
game, and they're always great games.
Yeah, I texted a Steeler friend after the game and said that's all we want from Ravens Steelers. That's what makes this rivalry great. Is every game truly comes down to inches.
Yep.
We always say baseball is a game of inches. That football game was a game of inches.
Yeah, a great ending.
Can we talk about the last play for the Ravens, where on TV all they're doing is talking about how great of an arm Joe Flacco has and how he has a great deep ball, and then it's
So
like
irritating.
a 20-yard dump off.
So irritating.
Like, or were they really going to score on a hook and ladder?
Right.
It's like I remember thinking like that's it, like that was the play call.
the season ends on
On a
But-
20-yard dump off.
But that kind of represented the whole year. Every year we would need 10 yards 3rd and 10, and Joe would throw 6.
Yeah.
So, of course, when we need to throw the Hail Mary and we have the guy with the best arm in football, he's going to throw a dump off.
It was just funny because, it was Tony Dungy and I think Doug Flutie, and they're saying, oh, his deep ball, he can throw it. We've seen it before.
Right.
And everyone's kind of getting ready, to see him drop back and just chuck it. And he just kind of lobs it over the middle.
Right. And because we've also
weird.
we've won games with that miracle arm before.
Yeah, you've
remember
seen
that game in Denver and stuff years
Oh,
ago.
and you see it every time. You see it happen a handful of times every year. Usually with Aaron Rodgers, but someone else
Dalton
gets
did it
the Hail
against the
Mary.
Ravens with
Yeah.
Who knows if the ball gets tipped up in the end zone? Who knows? Who knows what's
right.
gonna happen?
At least give it a shot. That a 20-yard pass.
It's
gives
like a
you
1%
nothing.
shot, but a 1% shot is better than I don't know what that was.
Right.
It's
I don't know.
It
I really don't know
looked
what
like
it
a
was.
schoolyard play where
It was
he's
a
gonna catch
give up
and-
play.
Have you ever seen a hook and ladder? Has that ever worked?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it has, but
I mean, we can name the Hail Marys that have worked.
Yeah,
It's hard to name any hook and ladders that's worked.
I thought that was a very strange play.
I think you had a better chance giving the ball back to Kyle Juszczyk and letting him truck through other guys all the way down the field than that little pass.
So that was a bad coaching decision. Is John Harbaugh at this point on the hot seat? Is he a guy that we need to reevaluate where this team? I mean, this is last year was terrible.
Right.
We blamed on the injuries. This year we stayed relatively healthy for the most part, and we're missing
Right.
out on the playoffs again.
This
is not a team that's supposed to miss the playoffs.
It's been 4 years since we won the Super Bowl. 4 seasons since the Super Bowl.
Okay.
One of those seasons we sneaked into the playoffs.
right. Other than that, we've missed the playoffs every time.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No. And I mean, all right, they're probably going to go out end the season 9-7, hope maybe 8-8 if they don't play their stars, which hopefully they don't. I don't think Harbaugh's on the hot seat. I've been saying all season I think he's on the hot seat, but I think it's you don't want to change things with Joe, and I think Joe's the quarterback. You've been in so many other things. You're going to change the offensive coordinator. We all know Marty's gone. It's got to be.
Right, he's gone. He gone.
And we've never asked John Harbaugh to be a quarterback's coach. He's a game management coach, which gives me some more issues that I've seen some horrible game management this season. But again,
but our offense has been good with really good offense coordinators.
Yes.
Kubiak,
they
he
looked
was
really
good.
Right.
And didn't we have a good one with Cam Cameron? I think too as offense. No, that was bad. That ended poorly.
No, we had a good offense
But
with Jim
I think-
Zorn.
with Jim Zorn
I mean,
of Redskins fame.
yeah.
But Kubiak is pretty much it. Is there a way to get him back?
No, what about Norv Turner? He's available. He'll be available.
Yeah.
He's gonna
I mean,
feel like a lot of money though.
yeah, but if there's anything, Steve Bisciotti will spend money on. Coaches don't hit your cap line.
Okay, so John Harbaugh stays. Eric,
I think
are
he
you good with
stays.
John Harbaugh staying?
I think so. I mean, I think who out there is better than him? That who are they gonna pick up?
I mean, isn't that his family motto?
I mean,
who's better than us?
Well, probably.
well, I mean, I
guess.
heard there was a guy that was just fired in Buffalo that might be a good fit.
Yeah, but you've seen when was the last time? I mean, I think the Ravens' defense is fine, but when was the last time Rex did anything with an offense?
Yeah.
Right, but is there any chance Rex Ryan can suck up his pride a little bit and come back to Baltimore under John Harbaugh? The two worked together well in the past.
I would love
John
that.
Harbaugh top, Rex the defensive coach. Maybe bring Ed Reed back with him to work with our safeties. I mean, every Ravens fan is going to be calling for the Super Bowl if you bring that together.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, I don't understand. There's some things I don't understand. I don't understand why Oriole fans don't want Mark Trumbull back, and I don't understand why.
I'll explain that to you later.
Okay,
on.
please do, because I really don't get that, and I don't understand why the Bills fired Rex Ryan. They were notoriously bad, like consistently 6-10, 5-11,
Right, since the 90s.
every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he comes, and what were they, 500 last year?
They were 8-8, and they're
And they're 7-8 this year.
Yeah.
When he was fired, so they could be 500 again. And like they're relevant because Rex Ryan makes them relevant because people talk about
Yeah.
them.
He's
a big name. Yeah.
I didn't even know the Bills had a franchise in the 2000s before Rex Ryan got there. And so why would you let him go? It
Because
makes no sense to
there's
me.
a thing going on in the NFL where you're attaching your head coach to your quarterback, and they attached Rex Ryan to Tyrod Taylor.
He got a ton of Tyrod Taylor.
Right, right.
Tyrod Taylor
he did, but
was a no one in Baltimore who turned into a really good a decent starter.
But a decent starter that they're going to move away from next year.
Well, and they just signed him to that extension, I think, before this year.
Right.
I think,
They
which-
invested.
And
but
I think they did that a little too early because
Right, but they did that because of Rex Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Because Rex Ryan said Tyrod's my guy for the long term. So now they're gonna get rid of Rex Ryan and take the guy they drafted last year, and see what he can do. Yeah, EJ Manuel. So
I thought they've already decided he's a bum. No,
I don't think so. I think they wanna. I think they wanna give him a shot.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, we'd all love to see him come back and focus on defense, which he's great at.
Yeah,
I think what he's gonna do. I think he goes to TV.
Oh,
I think he wants to do like a Gruden thing, which I think he'd be really good too. I mean, we see him on Hard Knocks. Everyone loved him after the Jets series, that season. But I think he knows now, like, man, you can make a lot of money.
Right, and on a way easier schedule.
Oh my, yeah, you work what he's on TV one day a week or something like
You're
that.
Traveling,
no announcing.
Right.
Yeah,
No
doesn't
pressure.
have to worry about getting fired.
Right, no pressure calling a game.
No.
You just get to say after you get to. It's pure 2020 coaching. After they make the mistake, then you get to say what you would do.
Maybe he takes this year off, does TV, and say next year if Chip Kelly, fizzles out with the 49ers, they reach out to him. Or maybe, what about the Rams when they move into their new stadium? All they said is they want to coach
a big splash
with a big head coach.
That's where it gets interesting. That if they can really pull Gruden out of TV and bring him back,
I think Gruden stays.
Yeah, I think Gruden stays. I don't know if Rex Ryan. We talked about the ego thing, liking to be the center of attention. Him up there with 6 other guys.
I don't know. He could totally.
But he has to wait his turn to talk.
Yeah. But couldn't you see him? Couldn't you totally see him being the next John Madden?
Or Charles Barkley, I think. He could be the NFL's version of Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
He sits there and says dumb stuff.
But Charles Barkley is kind of funny and clever. I don't know if Rex Ryan's as funny and witty
Rex
as
has that more.
Rex.
But again,
he's more serious. But
right, and we don't know. Does he want to still coach? Some people are born coaches.
And can he get a head coaching job? And is that what he wants to do?
Right,
because I don't know if he can get a head coaching job right now.
I don't think he can get a head coaching job.
Yeah.
But if his passion is coaching, if his passion is getting guys to perform above like subpar or above par, motivating guys, he might suck it up and go back to a defensive coach. I don't know if he'll humble himself enough to come back to Baltimore.
I don't know if. I think the bigger question. I don't think John Harbaugh would have that.
See,
because John Harbaugh is a control guy.
He didn't like the big voices in the locker room with Bolden and
Pollard
and Ed Reed.
He's the control guy,
which I don't get.
He's not going to want. I don't think he's going to want Rex.
Yeah. Well, see, you say that, but we've also talked about how Harbaugh is a guy who he's not on the hot seat, but you got to question some stuff. So you could totally see Steve Bisciotti coming down and saying, "We're bringing in Rex. Our defense.
I'm making this.
I'm making this call. Work with him. Our defense needs some excitement. Our offense needs something. I'm picking your coaches."
You think if Rex did come, would that be Harbaugh kind of looking over his shoulder, thinking, "Man, next year, if they say they start out 0-5, is he going, oh crap, I'm gonna get canned, and they're gonna, I got this old head coach right behind me."
I don't know, because you got to also think that. Remember, the whole reason like Rex left Baltimore and stuff is because he thought he deserved that job. Mm-hmm. But then I don't know. It worked out okay for both of them. Harbaugh has been great here.
Not great for the Ravens.
And Rex Ryan's done fine in New York and Buffalo, and
he's had a couple jobs.
But I don't think he gets another head coaching job.
I think he can.
Because it's gonna have to be another lovable loser that he can.
That's what
but you're right.
A desperate owner who wants to be relevant.
Right.
Yeah.
Or a guy who sees, you took Buffalo out of nowhere.
I mean, a lot of coaches get fired every year.
Maybe Bruce Arians steps down in a few years. He's getting older.
Who's coaching Cleveland? Cleveland could use that.
They just have a new guy.
Hugh Jackson.
Hugh Jackson.
Oh, right.
I think
they just got him. He's good.
He won, so he's not getting fired this year.
Yeah, but I think there's a better chance that another former Super Bowl defensive coordinator comes back to the Ravens as defense coordinator than Rex Ryan.
Marvin Lewis?
And I think there's a better chance that Marvin Lewis comes back than
I don't
Rex
understand.
Ryan.
I think Marvin Lewis should be fired, right?
I just saw a tweet that said that he intends to return to the Bengals in 2017.
That makes no sense.
The Bengals don't fire people.
No, they don't. But the Bengals, you know what he did to the Bengals? What Rex Ryan did to Buffalo.
A little more. I mean, they actually made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they've made the playoffs.
Never won.
Right.
But they made it.
But now they're bottom feeders again. The only thing that saves them is the fact that the worst team in football is in their division with the Browns.
Yeah, but they still have a lot of good core players. I mean, they're one of the most
But
Their roster
disappointing
every year
teams.
is one of the most talented.
Yeah.
Right.
1 through 53.
But isn't that a reason?
Absolutely.
Isn't that a
That's-
reason to fire your head coach?
Especially after 8 or 9 years, where it's just like, all right, this is
Right.
we're just kind of spinning.
Yeah,
our
this
wheels
is kind
here.
of how good you can get.
We give you everything and you can't win.
Yeah.
Are they almost like the Nationals, where
Except the
you look at the
Nationals-
roster every year and
Yeah.
you're like, man, this team is really, they have all the pieces, and then come the playoff times, they pee down their leg and
Yeah.
nothing's going on there.
Or the
Yeah.
Capitals, just like any DC team.
It's-
It's
yeah,
an
you
easy
could do
team.
that.
Right.
A little bash on DC. Though the Redskins have a shot at the playoffs and we don't, so
Yeah.
what can you do?
That's because of Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. So next year's the big year there for John Harbaugh, right? You got to make the playoffs next year.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
even misses the playoffs next year, he's probably out.
Yeah.
And that may be one of those, because how long he got there in 07?
I think
When it feel like it was.
I think he has 1 year left on his contract. His next year might be the last year of his contract.
Yeah. I don't think those contracts matter all that
And
much.
what is
but
it?
yeah.
Right. And I think Joe has 2 years left on his contract, 2 or 3.
Again,
So
he might. I think he has longer than that, but
Okay.
it's that
It's
point where you
basically like
cut
a
it.
2 or 3
right,
year
right. But I mean,
construction.
yeah, you get to the point of that you either pay him out and
Yeah.
get it, well, however it works with football. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean-
you eat whatever money you can.
Right.
I mean, there are some issues with John Harbaugh. Like we always talk about it every week: the time management, the clock management, and how this team does not know how to play under two minutes. And
There's-
there's an issue. It seems like every week with this stuff.
But it also makes you wonder: is that an offensive coordinator move?
Well, the clock management is the coach.
The clock
head
management is the coach, but the speed of your offense in a 2-minute drive—that's your coordinator.
Maybe for 1 week, but when it happens week after week, isn't the
Sure,
head coach's
yeah.
job to address
Yeah, of
issues
course.
like
Year
that?
after year, too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like it's always, you rarely see any sense of urgency with the team.
Yeah.
Getting up to the line, what was it? What was the game? It's like a few weeks ago. Everyone was complaining that
Yeah.
Joe's walking up to the line.
The whole
and-
team is walking to the
Yeah,
line.
they're
Right.
like down 10 or something like that, and there's like 2 minutes left. Oh, was it the Patriot game?
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
where
I
he's
think it
just
was
kind of
Patriots.
walking up with like 3 minutes left, and then they end up getting a field goal, and everyone kind of complained about that.
Yeah, yeah. So if you wanted to fire him, like you could find reasons to justifiably fire John Harbaugh.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a shock. I mean, it wouldn't be, oh my God, they fired Harbaugh. It would be, okay, I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
You guys are funny. I just went to ProFootballTalk.com. The headline that just posted a couple minutes ago: "Don't expect John Harbaugh to be this year's surprise firing."
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and we said
And
that
that's what we were just saying.
we don't expect it. Though, and I kind of feel a little bit like Buck Showalter too. Like, okay, we all recognize Buck Showalter probably should have played Zach Britton. Well, he should have played. He should have put Zach Britton in. He has a couple kind of issues like that where I wish he would use his bullpen better. But overall, his team performs really well. So we put up with a couple of the minor stuff.
Mhm. And like I said,
Right.
I don't think there's anyone out there. You're not gonna get better with anyone that's out there right now.
Yeah.
Like when everyone was, trying to get Buck fired last year. It was like the normal early September. We want Buck fired, and it's like, well, who else is out there? Who's gonna make this team better right now? And the answer
Yeah.
is no one
Yeah.
for both teams.
And
I
it's
think.
the same thing with everyone complaining about Joe Flacco.
Mm-hmm.
It's we've got a known source. You always want. We're not going to go and just take someone who might not be this good.
Yeah. And you always you judge the guys you have more than other teams.
Absolutely.
Like you talked to a Redskins fan about Kirk Cousins and the performance he put up against the Eagles a couple weeks ago, and they were done with Kirk Cousins. And then of course he backs it up with a really good game against the Bears. But other fan bases go through the same thing. There's only a very few handful of quarterbacks who are kind of immune from this. This talking, the fans second guessing their starting quarterback. So yeah, it is what it is.
Believe me, being a Titans fan and going through all the quarterbacks that I've
Oh,
seen,
yeah.
I would
For Mariota.
kill to have, or I would have, I would have killed to have a stable quarterback. I watched Zach Mettenberger and Rusty Smith. And the 1 year that Kerry Collins was good, and the guys like that, Jake Locker. So that I remember hearing Ravens fans freak out about Flacco throwing, for 3,800 yards and 25 touchdowns, and I was like, I would do anything to have a guy like that
Yeah.
on my team. So.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
what-
And how many teams would love John Harbaugh or Buck Showalter?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
To run their team. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's-
if Harbaugh did get fired, he wouldn't be able to hang up the phone before his phone was ringing.
well, and
with
that
offers.
that's what
Oh
this-
yeah, for head
So,
coaching.
yeah,
jobs.
oh,
absolutely.
That's what this article says. As I just skimmed it, he's saying there's no way Steve Bisciotti fires John Harbaugh, but John Harbaugh might be tired of being in Baltimore after 9 years and 4 struggling years, because he is such a competitive guy, and because there's such an awesome new coaching job opening up in LA, that he could try to get out to go to LA.
That's dumb, though, right?
Right, of
Have you
course.
seen the LA team play?
Right.
If you're upset about your
team
not winning,
right? Right.
You're not going to go to LA when they have hardly any pieces.
Yeah,
there.
and like, why would you want to take over a quarterback who's, I mean, he was a number 1 pick for a reason, but he's looked bad.
He's looked bad.
I mean, I don't know, that you're starting off with, it's like trying to build a car and you have just the wheels. Like, you have to do everything for that and try and build that up. So.
It'd be like starting back with Joe Flacco again, his rookie season, when you had a good defense and you just tried to say, don't make mistakes.
Did Flacco look that bad though?
No.
Flacco
didn't.
was a surprise.
St. Louis has a really
yeah.
Or Los Angeles, I said St. Louis. Los Angeles has a really good defense, though. And no weapons either. I mean, unless you think Tavon Austin's a killer
Tavon
weapon.
Austin and, I mean, Todd Gurley, but he didn't look that,
Averaging
didn't do anything
2
this
yards
year.
a carry this year.
He ruined probably a lot of people's fantasy teams.
Last thing on the Ravens.
All right, and then we'll get off and then we'll talk some Orioles.
T-Sizzle, Terrell Suggs. Unnoticeable that he was even in the game on Sunday.
The only times you saw him were when they showed him like standing there on the sideline.
Way out of breath.
Yeah. He looked.
I saw he was giving pep talks.
He
once.
looked
He
like
had
an old
hands
man.
on his hips.
Yeah.
Helmet nowhere to be seen.
Right. All the signs of I'm worn out. Does he come back next year?
Sure, if he wants to.
For a pay cut, probably. I don't know what his deal is, but he's.
It's only whether we release him or keep him. It's a $1 million difference.
How many sacks did he have this year?
4.
8.
8.
8?
Hey, then I feel pretty good at saying 4. I know we had the low, like
3
second
forced
lowest
fumbles, 8 sacks.
We had the second lowest sacks in football. I know that.
I mean, I could, and people say, and this is what the guys like film study. Ken McCusick say, I don't know how true this is, but he sets a really good edge for running backs. We saw Bell juke him one time and get around that outside, but people say he's really good at the run game. So maybe even if you do something where I know he's kind of got his name for being a pass rusher, but maybe you do like a first down, second down type thing.
Right, give him some.
And bring in another guy for because Doomerville was like a third down only guy. Mm-hmm. So maybe you find someone like that to be a third down only guy.
Right. Doomerville's the big cap hit, so he's probably gone.
Which is fine.
Which would lead to leaving Suggs in for that leadership, even if it's in a lesser role on the field.
Yeah.
You think Suggs is a Hall of Famer?
Oh, that's a great question.
114 and a half career sacks, 7 interceptions. I mean, he's at 762 tackles. Or no, I'm sorry, 535 tackles.
He's been in the league a long time.
Right.
I mean, it's this
Is
came
Suggs,
in 03. That was the Kyle Bowler draft.
Was that?
Think about that. I think so. I'm pretty sure it was.
All right. Is Suggs? Here's where I get torn with Terrell Suggs. Is he overrated because he played with Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, and that squad that we put him in that group all the time, or is he underappreciated because he was overshadowed by those guys for so long? And I can't figure out how good Suggs really is.
Oh yeah, I know. I think he was in his prime. He was great. I think he was great. He's one of the best pass rushers in his prime in those 4 or 5 years ago. So for me, I think he is, but I'm biased. I think he's been great for as long as he's been great. And Hall of Fame is that thing, right? Like how good are you? But then how long have you been good?
When I think of Hall of Fame, I think of like he was one of the top 3 or 4 at his position for an extended period of time, for 5 or 6 years. I mean, he was really good if you look back at some of those years.
And that's where I'm not familiar enough with the NFL Hall of Fame and how they vote and all that.
He may get it. He won't be. I don't think he'll be a first rounder, but I think he could get in eventually.
Yeah, he's got my vote.
And yeah, he's got what one? He only has 1 ring, right?
Yeah,
because he was in there for the first one. He was
in the 2003 draft.
Yeah, so there was a year after.
Okay, that's a pretty good pickup after to pick up a guy like that after you win the Super Bowl when you're way down on your draft pick.
Yeah, it was yeah. I mean, we talked about it before. Like that was Ozzie Newsome and Ozzie We Trust. That was his thing, to take these middle round to late round guys and turn them into stars. I mean, all those stars. You go back to like Ray Lewis and stuff. None of them were number 1, number 2 picks. They were all middle guys.
Does it feel like 5 years since we won the Super Bowl?
Yeah, feels about right.
I think it's time that it is time where the Ravens need to make the playoffs next year, make a push. There's no more that Super Bowl high is long gone. A lot of the players on the team now weren't on that Super Bowl team.
I think what do they normally say? Like for a coach, at least the Super Bowl kind of washes away after 5 years, and it's like after that, like it's like the Super Bowl gives you like a 5-year extension automatically.
Right. And
that's why Tom Coughlin stayed with the Giants. Like, oh well, he won us a Super Bowl in 2007, and then like they magically turn it on and
Harbaugh got an extension right after the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I mean that makes sense. As a fan, it felt like it's wearing out. That it's like, all right, we need another one.
Mm-hmm.
So it totally makes sense that's where we're at as a team right now.
Yeah, that's 5 years. You talk about a long time. Try not winning one since 1983. Now that's a long time.
I got that thrown at me when someone tweeted that the Orioles have made the playoffs more than the Ravens have since 2012, and I just tweeted Football Town, and someone said, "Oh, when was the last time the Orioles won the World Series?" I said 1983. Like,
yeah.
I don't know what you want me to say to that. That's the truth.
I don't know how to compare the two stats.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was more me just throwing salt in the wounds of Ravens fans, but people. You talk about Pittsburgh, people getting upset with you talk about the terrible towel. In this town, if you call it a baseball town or a football town, that's when you see people.
It makes no sense.
No, and
it's such a silly argument.
It really is, but it definitely gets under some people's skin. So
we got some action in the chat room. A lot of shout outs for RDT. Jacob Rock says Harbaugh won't be fired, but his seat is definitely getting very hot. I think it's accurate. I think we agree with that. Jared Christensen says the NFL is a revolving door of coaches. He will find another job somewhere. I don't know if they're talking about Rex Ryan maybe. And then he also says, "Ayo, what up, RDT?" Little shout out for RDT right there.
He's a Raiders fan.
Then Colt Miller says, "Chicken tenders RDT." That must be some kind of inside thing. If you cannot bring your inside things in this podcast, I appreciate it. And then Chris Beckcraft says Flacco is the most overrated and overpaid quarterback. So those people are out there. Like,
that's what people say.
Fine.
Yeah.
Is he overpaid? Sure.
Right.
Everyone in the NFL is overpaid.
Right. Yeah, especially at the quarterback position because you need one.
Yeah, is that the end who kept checking in?
Yeah. He's.
Right.
I agree. Overpaid, overrated. Agree. I still would rather have him than half the guys in the league. So I'll go with him.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that.
By the way, going into next season, Kirk Cousins is going to be the highest paid player in NFL history.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And think about if people were that upset when Flacco got it.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think
it's the nature of the beast.
Do you think Snyder pays him that?
I do.
Or do you think he goes to like LA?
No, I think the Redskins pony it up. I mean, they've had more success in the last, 2 or 3 years with him than before. I mean, RG3 looked like he was going to be the face of the NFL, and then now he's slipping on the field in Cleveland with all
that
his
downfall is insane. The RG3 downfall.
He could have run for the mayor of DC, and he would have won. He would have had 99% of the vote, and now it's. I mean, what is it? 3 years later,
rookie year.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens when you play the Ravens. They destroy your career.
The best quote I heard from that hit or that game is someone asked Haloti I was like, "Do you think he'll ever forget that? The time you hit him?" And he goes, "Would you forget if you got hit by a truck?"
Right. I mean,
that's a good quote. I like that.
It ruined his career in DC.
It did. I mean,
and now he's at Cleveland, where there's no way you come back as a star in Cleveland.
Somehow he got a 2-year, $15 million deal, though.
Yeah, but he's been hurt. I mean, he did get them their first win.
Didn't he get a concussion last game?
Yeah.
So
did
he get
he got a concussion, and you didn't see his girlfriend. People were tweeting him like, "Oh, feel better, he got a concussion," and she's like, "No, he doesn't." And they were like, "The Browns just announced that he's in concussion protocol."
Oh, really?
And she goes, "I'm glad you're listening to the team and not Robert." And she's like tweeting this out to people who were like, "Oh, feel better, we're praying for you." And she's like, "He doesn't have a concussion. I don't know what you're talking about." So it's like, all right.
That always gets with the spouses and the Twitter always a little bit awkward.
Yeah, spouses and Twitter never goes well together.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough. That's enough Ravens talk. Can we talk about some Orioles stuff?
Absolutely.
Can we kind of look back? This is the last episode of 2016, which I think I can speak on behalf of all listeners there. It's been a great year, all around. Everyone's had a great 2016.
Every time we've had a big game, it sucks.
Yeah.
Whether it's Orioles, Ravens, Terps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people want to focus on all the people who died in 2016. I like to focus on the millions of babies we've had in 2016.
Yep.
Okay? That will go into the next great singers and actors. The babies.
The babies?
It's about the children's. Yeah.
I thought you were focused on the 2017 babies.
Yeah. There's going to be some good babies then, too.
But, yeah, it's funny how it's like, is 2016 in Baltimore the year of second guessing your coach?
Yeah.
Whether it's Buck Showalter leaving Zach Britton or John Harbaugh and Kyle Juszczyk or everything John Harbaugh has done. And
Yeah. It's the nature of fandom now, right? It's
the nature of television sports. There's so many camera angles and so many replays. And then you got the internet and Twitter, and it's just, you're asking for it.
Well, we would always voice our opinions before. Anyway, we would go to the game, and we put it on Twitter now. But before, we would go to the game, and we would second guess the decisions of Davey Johnson. But now we have Twitter.
But now what happens when we go to an Oriole game?
Yeah.
And they go, and there's a close play. What do we do immediately?
Everyone hops on
We
Twitter.
pop on the phone, go on Twitter to see what the TV replay look like.
Yeah.
Especially if we're in like a TV blackout or whatever, replay blackout.
Yeah, where they can't show the replays.
Right. Then we're going on there because everyone has a better angle of the game than Buck Showalter.
Plus, you sit there and you can rewind it and put it in slow motion. So yeah,
Right.
I mean, it's like you're in the TV booth now. Like you can have that
Right.
slow motion rewind and zoom in.
The games aren't called by robots yet, but we all can use robots to second guess every ref, every ump, every coach.
So I wrote down 7 things that kind of stuck out to me from the 2016 Orioles baseball season. And I'm sure, I was just thinking about this today, and I'm sure I left some stuff out. But here are 7 either big things or big moments for me in the 2016 season, and I ranked them 1 through 7.
Okay.
I'll do it David Letterman style and
So
start
gonna
from 7.
start at 7?
Yeah. It was Trey Mancini who hit his first 3 starts. He had 3 dongs. His first 2 hits, I think, were both dongs. And that was fun to see a rookie come up and perform.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
fun. That's fun. Good guy. Very interested to see how that's going to impact next year.
Number 6, I had David Ortiz when he got the gift of the broken phone. That made me laugh, chuckle.
Except that's a lame thing as your top 7 moments. That's
Well, it's not like he went to the World Series or anything, Josh.
Right,
Right,
number 6 is giving Ortiz a broken phone.
Yeah, it was funny. Number 5, and to symbolize that he is out of here. Leaving off after having one of his best
All right,
seasons.
can we
he's
attach
out
to
of
that
here.
the fact of all of the Oriole villains who are gone?
Oh my, yeah, it's
Jose Batista's out of Toronto.
Where is Jose
Teixeira.
Batista? Well, we don't know where he's at yet.
No, I don't know where he's at yet.
he doesn't have a job, so he's.
So he still could be with the Yankees, could be with the Red Sox.
All right.
Could be with the Orioles. That
But,
could be
I mean,
out.
All right, we'll
You're
hold
right.
on that one. But the fact that A-Rod's gone, Jeter's gone,
Ortiz, Teixeira.
Ortiz,
Teixeira.
That's the Mount Rushmore of Orioles villains.
Yeah. I know.
That's
Who are we supposed to boo with the Yankees? Sanchez? I don't even know this kid.
Right.
Jason Grilly's number 1. He's my
Jason Grilly?
yeah, Jason Grilly.
Why?
He's my public enemy number 1.
Why?
I hate him. I just hate him.
Is there something that happened that I missed? Like
He just
the
the way
don't
he
like his
hops
face?
off the mound in the 7th inning after striking one guy out and like is pumping his chest
when his
and
team
he's-
is down by 3 runs.
Yeah, it's. I mean, he did that. He did. I think it was a game against Seattle. They were like down 2-1 in the 8th inning, and he struck some guy out, and he like almost cartwheeled off the mound. And I was
Yeah.
like, dude, calm down, man.
Yeah.
Like, you're a middle reliever.
And
Like
you
that's
get-
like you don't see Brad Brock going out there and like pumping his chest and like almost ripping his jersey open.
You're right, 'cause he's the middle reliever.
yeah,
Like occasionally
exactly.
you'll see a closer get the final out and do
Yeah,
something.
like I remember I just saw a clip of Chapman a few years ago who
Where he
literally did
somersaults
front
up?
rolls to like home plate
Right.
after he got a save.
Yeah.
But that's different. You throw 1 of 3.
And
I don't
Rodney
know.
did the whole arrow,
Yeah,
touching the
I-
arrow.
I-
Except
problem with
that
that.
made me hate Rodney, the arrow.
I never have a problem with that, but yeah, Jason Grilly's my number 1 until Jose Bautista finds another team.
Yeah, I
So,
figure I'm just going to hold out, and I'm just going to hate the pinstripes for the next 2 years, and then it's Bryce Harper in pinstripes that I get to hate,
Yeah.
or Manny Machado.
My number 5 was when Manny Machado charged them out against Ventura. That's another good guy to hate.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So that was
That's
good.
something, yeah.
He got suspended and broke his played in game streak, which is a shame.
But every Oriole fan can get behind that.
Yeah. My number 1 four was the season of Zach Britton, an ERA of 0.54. I mean, that's as good as a season from a closer you will ever see.
That's why he needs to be traded. He will never be as good as he is now.
Shut up.
So high.
Shut up. Number 3, you guys are ruining my segment by saying stupid stuff like that. Number 3, Hyun-Soo Kim. Remember his pinch hit home run against Toronto
Even in September.
And his theme song.
Oh, and the theme song. Just Hyunsu Kim in general has
And the 0-50 spring training. That was fun to talk about. The whole controversy of whether or not he should be on the team.
And being benched on opening day, and getting booed on opening day.
Yeah, they kept booed.
I think that one of the best things that came from this year was the Korean calls of his home runs. Like after, like 10 minutes after he'd hit it, you would hear these Korean guys just going crazy, and that was one of my favorite. But all right, go on.
Number 2, and this was almost number 1 for me, was Dylan Bundy. Because I said it we said it over and over again. He is like our Rule 5 guy.
Right.
We hope he pitches for a couple months, and then he'll probably get hurt, and we'll shut him down, and that's fine. But he pitched over 100 innings. He won 10 games. Like that was for a guy who we've put our hopes on for about like the past 6 years to actually come up and be productive. I thought was huge, and is hopefully a sign for even brighter things to come in the future. But I thought that was huge for the organization to actually have Dylan Bundy come and pitch well.
Yeah, and that bodes well for 2017, where we can now pencil him into our rotation.
Yeah.
And he was way better than we expected, to the point that we're like, all right, Dylan Bundy is a viable star.
When at the beginning of the season, we were like, I don't care if he has the ERA of 10, just don't get hurt in the first week of the season.
As long as he walks off the mound with his arm attached.
You know, it all
fine.
Right.
It's a success. But he did so much more than that. He was good.
It also gave me hope for, all right, maybe Hunter Harvey can still put this together.
Yeah.
With all his injuries.
3 years from now.
Right, exactly.
Our prospects just take the long way to the majors.
Right. No, many people bought Bundy jerseys 4 years ago.
Yeah. They're still good. Still wearing
them. No, he changed his number. They're not good anymore.
That's a shame. And my number 1 thing was just, I lost. That was probably number 8. I forgot to put a number by it. Was when Trumbo hit 2 home runs in the same inning against Texas. That was a fun moment. At the beginning of the year, that was like in April when he got off to a hot start.
Just Trumbo's year in general was fun.
Yeah.
It was
a lot of dongs.
It was like,
especially the first half of the year. Didn't he start out his first game? I think he went 4 for 4 with like a stolen base. I think on opening day.
I forgot about that.
And he was decent in the outfield.
Nah, no, he wasn't.
All right, he wasn't horrible in the outfield.
He wasn't Delman Young bad.
He wasn't Delman Young. He wasn't Jose Canseco in the outfield. He was fine.
He was still bad enough to say, I want to have a different everyday starting right fielder than.
Okay. Yes. Sure.
And my number 1 thing was just the Orioles making the playoffs. Right. Once again, everyone picked them last.
So these are
the nerds said, All the nerds said they're gonna finish in 5th place because they have no starting pitching, because they can't play defense, because they can't get on base. We don't care. We'll just go ahead and we'll make the playoffs again.
So these were your like top 7, 8 good things for the Orioles for 2016.
Things I remember.
Things you remember.
Yeah.
trying to forget the big one.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Who knows how that game in Toronto ended?
Oh, I just know there was a playoff game. I didn't realize. I don't know what happened. I just know there was a playoff game.
All I know is there's been 3 horrible games in Baltimore sports, and I've watched them all with you at my dad's, so we got to stop that.
And my favorite headline, I saw this headline when I was kind of looking stuff up, getting ready for the show, from the USA Today. Orioles tie MLB record with 4 home runs in first inning. Immediately allow 5 runs in second inning.
Standard Orioles.
Yeah, and the final score of that game was Astros 15, Orioles 8. Yeah, so on the day that they set their record for most home runs in the first inning, the other team.
That was a rough one. I remember I wasn't watching it. I was following it along on Twitter, and I'm getting blown up, and they're like, "Oh, Jones hits a home run," and then it was Manny batting second.
Right,
he
Manny
got a single, and then
Trumbo,
Davis hit a home run, and then Trumbo hits a home run, and I forget who else, but.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Oh, this game's over. Like, this is over."
Yeah.
And then that was the Wade Miley, just like he gave up. Yeah, I think he gave up 5, and then he was out. Like, he didn't even make it out of the second inning.
Yeah.
And like, I thought that my Twitter guy, I thought someone hacked Twitter, and I was like, "There's no way the Orioles are down." Like, and then the way they went on to lose that game was not very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys hear Chris Davis was on 105.7 the other day and made comments about how there's a sense of urgency with this team, that they really feel as a clubhouse they need to win in the next year or two. He made this comment in reference to Zach Britton, saying you shouldn't trade Zach Britton. He's the best guy. We need the best guy. You should be adding, not subtracting.
Absolutely,
players.
yeah, absolutely true.
But
well said.
Right, but how does it go? How do you feel as in the clubhouse? All right, as Oriole fans, we all see that same urgency of, hey, we have like 2-year window. Win. Now you're in the clubhouse. You also see that 2-year window, and your clubhouse isn't bringing your club's not bringing anyone in. Is that concerning?
I don't know what you want them to do. And I don't know why this is even a story, even a big deal. We all know, like, the Orioles are a mid-market team. They can't spend $300 million. They can't go all Cubs or Red Sox. And we knew that coming in. We knew with all the guys going, arbitration, Scope's making a lot more money, Britton's going to make a lot more money, Machado's going to make a lot more money. Like, we knew this was, this is who we are. Like, we made our bed. We signed Chris Davis to that huge deal.
Yeah.
We made our bed. This is good players going to make more money in arbitration. And so this is not only is this, I don't think this is not saying we don't care. We're not going to try to take advantage of the next 2 years. It's saying this is the reality of who we are. We're still going to add. They're still going to add a right fielder. They're still going to add a DH. And they're still going to be a good team next year.
I guess if there's anyone who can't question what the team's doing, it's Chris Davis because he ate up all the money.
They paid him. Yeah.
Right. He's got his money. If he wanted, he could give some money back, and we could sign a big guy.
Yeah. Yeah. But he and good for him. He got his money, but
he deserved it.
There's nothing that says that this team is not trying to win and not trying to win these next couple of years. I think we're going to sign. We're going to sign a Trumbo. We're going to sign a Bautista. We're going to sign a DH. There's still a lot of those big bats.
I still think we make a deal with the Pirates for McCutchen. It seems
who do they give up though? Who do the O's give up?
Brad Brock.
That doesn't get it done.
I don't think they.
I'd like to give up Zach Britton. But maybe you can give
It doesn't get it done for Zach Britton either. Pirates...
Yeah.
But the Pirates want to get rid of McCutchen.
They want to get rid of McCutchen.
So they can rebuild.
Because they can rebuild. You're not rebuilding with a 2-year closer.
Yeah, I think that they're going to want...
They want prospects.
They're going to want a 3 or 4 player
They're not trying to rebuild.
Yeah.
They want pitching.
Okay, yeah.
They're not trying to rebuild. They're getting rid of McCutchen because he can't play center field anymore.
Right. If you want to get the deal done, it starts with Bundy. That's where it starts.
No way.
It does, Josh. If Bundy's not either Gossman or Bundy, they're going to want that young pitcher.
Or a guy like Scope, too.
Yeah, or Scope.
I think it's going to be one of those.
It's not going to be a middle reliever. You're not training a middle reliever for McCutchen.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be Brock and Harvey and Mancini or something. It's
yeah.
I don't think they have the prospects to make that.
Yeah, and it's not like 5 bad prospects equal 1 good prospect.
It's like that's what they were talking about, like when they when the Sox traded for Pomerantz, and they were like, the main guy was like the Red Sox number 3 guy, and it's like, well, the Red Sox and people were mad at the Orioles for not making that move, and it's like the Red Sox number 3 player is not equivalent to the Orioles number 3 player. Like that's not, that's apples and oranges. Like those are 2 totally different things.
Yeah. So I think the idea of trading for someone, I would love to trade for McCutchen. I just don't think he's realistic. So I think the Jose Bautista thing is kind of intriguing as it gets later on and people kind of shy away from him because of his age and because of his really bad year last year. I think he becomes a really interesting DH possibility.
I'd still prefer bringing Trumbo back because I think at this point, I think he's probably a better player than Bautista is. Can
I throw out an interesting stat for Jose Bautista? On base percentage, we know that's a kind of a bugaboo with the Orioles.
Yeah.
Last year, he had a bad year. I think his batting average, I'm looking at it right now, was .234.
Yeah, he was banged up in some injury issues last year that are concerning.
Yeah, before that, the 3 previous years, the 5, 6 previous years for that, he was one of the best players in the game.
Arguably, yeah.
Yeah. So there's no, he's old. So is this, you have to ask yourself, did he fall off a cliff, or is this just a down year and he can bounce back?
Or is the HGH wearing off?
Right.
Something like
that.
Or
does he need to take a new supplement that they can't test for? But the intriguing stat to me is, from a team that's really struggled with on-base percentage, even with that .234 batting average, he still had an OBP of .366, which would be our second best on the team, behind Hyun-Soo Kim.
And what we need is that leadoff hitter who can get on base.
Yeah, he wouldn't be leadoff, but he would at least can get on base for you for some of the other guys that hit home runs.
Mm-hmm. But the fans don't like him.
Okay. Yeah.
Remember?
It's true.
Don't bother calling us.
And if he bats .234 for us, we would boo him every game.
Especially if he's making $15 million or something like that, like he wants. What did he originally want? 5 for like 175. He said that during the year, and everyone kind of laughed at
but
him.
Was he given a qualifying? He was given a qualifying offer, right?
That's another thing. Yeah,
he's not going to make that.
Right.
No. But that's another thing. If the Orioles, do they really want to go out and spend that and give up a draft pick for 1 year of Jose Bautista right now? 4 or 5 years ago, absolutely. But that's why when people were kind of having their fit about that whole comment that Duquette made, it's like they're not saying this to Mike Trout. They're saying this to a 35, 36-year-old
36 years old,
Jose Bautista who's coming off an injury-plagued season.
One of the worst years of his career.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why I wasn't too upset about it.
But that's what was irritating about the comment is that you were blaming the fans when there's a million other reasons.
I think that
which I thought was brilliant. We disagree on that. I thought it was brilliant.
I think
it was Duquette trying to be silly.
I think it was that. Plus, I think it was them saying, because if he says the clubhouse doesn't like him, then you're going to have a reporter
you're not
go
going
up
to
to
say
Adam
that.
Jones and say, hey, Adam, who in the clubhouse doesn't like Jose Bautista?
Darren O'Day.
Then you're going to, we all know.
And everybody else.
You're going to put them in an awkward spot where he's
right.
going,
You can't blame the clubhouse.
Yeah. So I think him saying the fans got some people
and
like,
if you say you just can't afford them, then all of a sudden that makes
they're cheap and Angelos doesn't want to open the checkbook. And
they should blame the fans for everything. I think it's brilliant.
That's what I would
do.
Just always blame the fans.
Is Batista set up to be this year's Trumbo?
That's what I think he might.
Cruz.
I think he might.
Which sucks for him when he could have had a 1-year qualifying offer and made decent money.
What's that, 17?
I think he's going to regret not taking the qualifying offer.
Yeah, because that's $17 million for 1 year.
Who's going to give him $17 million?
No, he's set to get what? 2, 4?
Oh, he's going to get more than 4.
I think he'll get more than that.
But I think more like 8 to 10, I think, in that range. If it's a 1-year deal, but maybe he wants a 2 and 20. Maybe he can get like a 2 and 20 or something.
Yeah, he might be able to get a 2-year deal. Are you surprised that the guys who are still out there, like Mark Trumbo and Matt Wieters?
Explain to me, Josh, why the Orioles shouldn't re-sign Mark Trumbo. You said you were going earlier because I think he's a good baseball player, so it makes sense to have good baseball players on your baseball team. But you disagree because
he's a long-term. He wants a long-term contract.
Oh, so it's a money issue,
right?
Years issue.
It's a money and years issue, and the fact that do you want him as your right fielder every day?
No.
All right, so you're signing him
strictly DH,
strictly as DH.
And a lot of people, a lot of the nerds like to come out of the woodworks and talk about his WAR, right? And why we shouldn't sign because he's WAR.
What's it good for?
Yeah. What is it good for? That's a great question. What?
I don't know why that button's not on here. I got to add that one.
The problem is his WAR, defensive WAR, is like -18.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
That makes his overall WAR look really bad. When if you just at DH.
All right.
Just at DH. I think last year's offensive WAR was like 20. Like just at DH, he is an above average, not the best hitter in the league, but he's above average DH.
All right. How much is he going to cost me?
I mean, it's who else wants him? It doesn't sound like anyone else wants him.
Right, but he wants a lot.
Yeah.
So, wouldn't I be better off re-signing Pedro Alvarez and Trey Mancini and going lefty-righty?
Where's the negotiations end last time? Like 4 and 60 or something?
Something like that. But I mean, you go out and Edwin Encarnacion got 3 for 65, was it? Yeah. So,
give him 4 for $50 million.
Yeah. If he takes it, and $50 million is a lot of money. Still, I know people. They said he hasn't had his big contract. This is going to be it.
It's for a DH. You got to remember he's only helping on one side of the ball.
But in a ballpark like this, and all the AL East ballparks where they're so small, and we know how that ball flies in the summer. Yep. He's built perfectly for this ballpark. I think the team is built to. It's not like he's not signing with the Royals where they don't do this. They don't hit the home runs. This team is built to hit home runs, and we've seen it. If you can hit a home run, they're going to put you in the lineup.
And financially, he doesn't really fit, and what he doesn't fit with a lot of other teams. Mm-hmm. He can't play in National League because he's bad at defense.
Yep.
And in the American League, there's this idea of just hitting home runs is a thing that's becoming less and less attractive.
Mm-hmm. Don't tell that to the
except to Dan Duquette.
Yeah. But other teams are paying less and less for it, right? Like the Chris Carters and Mark Reynolds of the world are finding themselves having a hard time finding a job.
Yeah, Chris Carter he got non-tendered right after leading the NL.
And Mark Reynolds is still a free agent, the sheriff. He's out there, and there's a lot. And Pedro Alvarez is kind of a similar type guy. There's a lot of those power hitting, high strikeout guys who aren't as valuable as they once were. Now Mark Trumbo can still hit for a little bit of average. So I think he's more valuable than most of those guys.
Right.
And he hits more home runs than most of those guys. But my point is, I think you can get a really good deal on him without giving him the 6-year, $100 million. You can get him half that.
They offered 4 years, $55 million.
Yeah. So I would take that, right? Like that seems like a decent. I said 450 455. So it could be very much a situation where Mark Trumbo says that's too low, but then he realizes, Matt Wieters realizing,
Are you trying to make him the next David Ortiz, like just a long-term DH? Or do you think that if Duquette invests all that money, $55 million, he's your right fielder?
No. If you learned anything from last year, you put Michael Bourne worst case scenario out there,
or you get a guy like Rajai Davis or
Angel Pagan,
someone like that.
Joey Rickert, or those other Rule 5 guys they just signed.
Yeah. I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see how Joey Rickard does.
You don't
this
think
year.
that for $55 million, bump it up to $60 million? You could have gotten Encarnacion 3 years, $60 million. The guy that helps on both sides of the ball.
He's
still a bad defender.
He's an on base.
He's above Trumbo, right?
Yeah, but I would want him just as strictly DH too.
Okay, all right.
But you're right. He's better at on base.
Yeah, he's
better
I think
batting
he's a
average.
much better hitter. Than
His offensive WAR is much higher than Mark Trumbo's.
Plus, he won't
WAR.
be able to hit home runs off of Ubaldo when he leaves it right down the middle.
I don't know. He might still find a way.
He probably, he probably would.
Plus,
So I agree. I thought that was sounded like a pretty good deal that the Cleveland Indians got, and I wish the Orioles would have done that.
I agree, because especially for a long-term deal, 3-4 years,
when there's not a lot of guys out there.
Home runs can fade, but the on base, if you're good at getting on base, that continues. You can do that long term. Just look at Ichiro.
Yeah, if you have a good eye, I mean, that stays with you. You're going to draw walks.
Even Chris Davis to a certain extent, right? Like, even bad Chris Davis is still going to get his walks.
Yeah.
Right.
He's also going to get his Ks. But
and that's why you look at Chris Davis' past year, he had many strikeouts.
He had a down year. He had a down year, and it was frustrating. But you still look at the amount he made that year, and you're like, yeah, it's okay. No big deal. Yeah.
I'd love to see the amazing Chris Davis we saw 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, that 2013 Davis.
But he's still making his money.
Yeah.
He's not Albert Bell in it yet.
Yeah. I mean, he had an on-base percentage last year of .332, which is over 100 points higher than his batting average. I mean, he only had a batting average of .221. So, yeah, you hope in 219 strikeouts.
Exactly. That's where you just got to not look at that line.
You take that good with the bad.
And
I mean, but at the same time, he did lead the team in walks.
Right. As fans, we get frustrated with those strikeouts. You know it frustrates him, too. Mm-hmm. And you know that somehow he's working on it this offseason, and maybe it comes together. Maybe it's just the guy he's going to be his entire career.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
And I'd lean towards the latter.
Same. I think we've kind of seen who he is, and I'm not sure
and you know what?
If he cuts down to 190 strikeouts, that would be great. That would be unreal.
Right. But how many times have we seen Chris Davis strike out 3 times in the game, and on that fourth at bat, he hits a game-winning home run?
Yeah.
It's what Chris Davis does.
And I don't think too many O's fans are complaining, even that he had a bad year. I don't hear too many O's fans complaining about him.
I haven't heard much.
Because most people knew what they were getting.
Right.
And if a lot of people did not agree with the signing when it happened, and that's fine. But you kind of accept it, and it's not like we're surprised by the year he had.
Yeah.
But it was a down year.
Yeah. But we
hope he has a better year.
We hope he has a better year, but it wasn't a super disappointing year. And I think also those fans that call into 105.7 with the stupid stuff like saying get rid of Chris Davis were distracted by Buck Showalter not using Britain, that they could all focus on that.
That's true. So maybe that was Buck Showalter's end goal, is to have people focus on him.
Take the attention off. Yeah, I like that.
Have we talked since the Orioles signed a new catcher, Castillo, with one L?
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah,
the one L throws me off because it messes up my spell check.
Yeah, somehow we like to sign catchers with weird spellings of their last name.
No one can spell.
Right. Did you like that? You happy with that trade?
With that signing?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a guy who's at the same level, maybe a little bit below Matt Wieters for a much cheaper guy. So, I mean, I was happy with it. It makes me wonder, with it being a 2-year deal, how that affects Cisco, and if they don't have hope for Cisco to come up this year, and if we're pushing him back at least a full year.
You think it says? See, I was reading a different way. I don't think it says anything about Chance Cisco. It says more about Caleb Joseph than Chance Cisco. Who do you think gets more starts this year, Caleb Joseph or
Castillo?
Or Valentin Castillo? You think Castillo?
I think it'll be close. I mean, it may just be
you might do a lefty-righty thing.
Castillo hits lefties really well. So that's the only thing that
they're both righties, right?
Yeah. I think that's the only thing that'll kind of push Castillo ahead of Joseph. Last year he hit 280 against lefties, with the 346 on base percentage. So
Yeah. How's Castillo's? I haven't read up on Castillo. How's his pitch receiving?
Yeah, don't even get me started on that. Like I said, they're gonna find a stat that says he throws the ball back to the pitcher like too slow or something like that, and people are gonna harp on that.
I like his nickname though. You know his nickname,
Beef Wellington.
Beef Wellington. That's a good nickname. That's solid.
Yeah, and I can spell that.
Beef. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys surprised Matt Wieters is just sitting out there? That nobody wants Matt Wieters? That there's not even rumors of guys going to Matt Wieters?
I mean, this is the typical Boris thing. It's kind of
Boris
said, we're going to wait till January, so there's no use in.
Hey, this is what happened with Chris Davis, right?
Yeah.
And Chris Davis got his.
Sat there and you let him marinate.
Didn't Chris Davis sign in December?
That was like.
Was it
I wanna
the end of
say-
I
December?
felt like it was. Oh, maybe it was O'Day. O'Day was December and Davis was January.
Yeah.
Because O'Day got all the questions of now will they sign Davis?
And I was thinking about how Trumbo's still out there, how Wieters is still out there, and I thought back to when Nelson Cruz signed. He signed December 1st. That was really early.
Sure. Yeah, for a low number too.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
So, or no, when he signed with.
Oh, when he signed with Seattle?
With Seattle, yeah.
Well,
that was
yeah, with
December
the
1st.
Orioles, it's February.
Yeah, it was like a week before spring training or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like him and Ubaldo that same week, and I remember they had the Ubaldo press conference down in Sarasota.
Right.
So, yeah, I think Chris Davis was January 17th, it looks like.
Well, it seems like with those big monies, it goes one of two ways, right? Like either you get a bunch of teams compete right away, where a bunch of teams are looking to fill that one position, like kind of like a Dexter Fowler, or when you sign early in the season, you have a couple teams competing. But if you don't have that initial, like multiple teams going after you, the strategy seems to be just wait.
Yeah, you wait it out, and
teams will realize, oh, we really need this or we really need that,
Right,
and
now
hopefully they'll overpay.
Right now we have the Christmas break, New Year's break, so we really won't see anything till maybe next week. I don't remember any actual big trades or signings happening in this last week.
It's like everything kind of just shuts down. I think it's like an unwritten rule where it's like, hey, no one's going to negotiate. We're not going to break any news until after New Year's. So I don't know what it is, but
why would you, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you're a player, you have the whole there's no urgency to get something done December.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
when you have January and February.
If someone wants you now, they're going to want you on January 4th.
If you're Dan Duquette, I say you put on a Santa outfit, you go show up at the player's house, you surprise them because no one else is talking to you.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a Dan Duquette move, too. I like that.
I'd totally love to see Dan Duquette in a Santa suit.
Yeah. But I expect Matt Wieters to make some money.
I think he eventually ends up in Atlanta. That's right. I mean, I know people have been saying
that's
that for
been the rumor for
but
years.
Yeah.
Except
That makes sense.
Atlanta's such a confusing organization to me.
Yeah.
Because they're supposed to be rebuilding. Next year
they sign Marquez.
Next year they move into their new stadium. Forget Marquez. They just signed Bartolo.
And R.A. Dickey.
Yeah,
R.A. Dickey, yeah. It's 1-year deals. Was it just
1-year deal, which has to be like splash moves to get people into the new stadium.
I mean, it makes your team better too.
Yeah, I mean, both those guys, 1-year deals for a little bit of money. I would have done that, especially Cologne.
Yeah.
I would have signed them.
Yeah. The Orioles don't have a starter though, right?
No,
I don't say we're good there, but we're not making any additions.
If anything, we get rid of one.
Yeah. Because, I mean, they have 6 for 5 spots right now.
Yeah.
And I know, but when Buck was on the Hot Stove show on 105.7, he said that he had toyed around with the thought of having 6 starters. And it sounded like it was like really eating at him. So I don't know if that's.
I love that idea.
I love that idea too.
And like I said, it didn't sound like he was just tossing it out. It sounded like this is something that he's talked about with multiple people who have really.
That could be fun.
I think that would be really.
I love the idea of getting the pitcher an extra day rest.
Maybe only do it during July and August. You know, something like that after the All-Star break. Come out and have a 6-guy rotation.
I don't know, or you. I kind of like the opposite. You do it right out of the gate. You stretch people out, so then when it comes down to July crunch time, you shorten everyone up.
Yeah.
But again, you look at our 6 guys.
Right, that's the other thing.
Yeah, we're not the Nationals talking about.
Right. There is a really good chance that A, someone will get hurt, or B, more likely, someone gets shelled every start, and he gets moved to the bullpen.
But by going to a 6-man, that means what? Tillman gets 4 less starts for the season.
Yeah,
maybe.
And do you want that? Do you want Tillman and Gossman to have less starts so Miley can get his starts?
Yeah, and so Miley and Baldo can
I don't know. If I'm Buck, I definitely look at the track record and how well does Tillman perform with that extra day rest. Does he perform better or worse? And I kind of judge by that. If I can get Bundy 6 days instead of 5, does he do better? That's something I look at and consider.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you could tell Bundy got tired during the end of the year last year.
Yep. His
I
fastball was
think-
down.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's why we didn't see him in that the playoff game.
Yeah.
I thought he would have come in before Ubaldo, and I think he was better fit for that spot, too.
Oh, absolutely was.
So
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they use Dylan Bundy this year.
If
After
he just
throwing 100
started right out of the
innings.
gate.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. Like, I don't think it's out of the question to start him at bullpen and then move him into starting role. Especially when you have 5 of the guys.
I think they asked Buck again on that the hot stove show or whatever that he said, there's no inning restrictions, inning limitations on him. So
Yeah, they said that halfway through last year, and
Yeah.
that's fine. You can say that, but when his stuff gets worse after a certain point,
yeah, you kind of gotta fix it. You gotta
yeah, like that's a problem.
And they always say there's no limit.
yeah. Because if they do, then his agent's gonna
The only team
flip
that
out.
the only team that talks about pitch limits is the Nationals when they were dealing with
And the
Strasburg.
Mets with Harvey.
Yeah, and that's all. We're past that with Bundy.
And it's mostly the season coming off Tommy John surgery.
Right.
And that's been a couple years now for Bundy. So you would hope he's good now. We'll see.
Hope so.
We'll see. It's a lot of question marks with that rotation. You can talk all you want about how you have 6 guys, but
Yeah,
Right, but it's 6 guys that involves Miley, Ubaldo, and who am I missing? Not Worley.
Gallardo
Gallardo's the
and
other
Tillman too, where he seems like every other year Tillman's good and bad, and a guy like Bundy who we don't know if he
don't
can
really
stay healthy
know.
the entire year. So there's like Gossman, I think we're pretty set on him, and
Right.
then the other 5 are question marks, either
Yeah.
for health or for
Well,
performance.
we got we made the pitching coach changes. We got to hope that helps.
Yeah.
So
fine, pitching coach.
I mean, hey,
What do they
someone's
do?
got to go in the bullpen and help you get your arm lasting.
Hey, we
longer.
gotta hope they pitch like they did in September, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was great in September.
Britain
Let's just keep that
was
up.
perfect in October.
Let's get to our 3 up, 3 down segment.
It's now time for 3 up and 3 down.
Josh, I'm going to let you go.
I thought you were getting rid of this segment because you couldn't come up with any ups.
No, I'm still. I thought maybe throughout the show I would get some divine inspiration on what to do with my up. I still haven't gotten it yet. So, Josh, how about you go first with your up?
We going with positives first?
Yeah,
Ups?
positives.
Baseball season's almost here.
It's not almost here.
Come on, we're like
What's your
49
definition of
games
almost?
before. I think it's like 49 days before preseason. We are all right. Baseball season is one
Before
day.
what? Pitchers and catchers
Yeah.
report, and they report like 3 months before.
Baseball
there's actual
season
games
is
going on.
one day closer than it was yesterday.
Yeah,
That's my
that's
up.
weak.
That's also the type of week it's been.
Eric, how about you? Because I still got nothing.
I'm kind of piggybacking off Josh. I mean, football is pretty much over. Regular season for me.
It's kind of weird that we're celebrating football ending.
Yeah.
Trying to put a positive spin on this.
Yeah, well, for my team, Marcus Mariota broke his leg, so my football is over. I'll just sit back and watch the playoffs like I have for the last 10 years. Terps basketball started, conference play started today with a good win.
Oh, that's a good up.
Yeah, I like that. Caps are doing their normal regular season winning, so we'll see how that is in the, come,
Enjoy it now.
come May. And baseball starts in less than 100 days, I think I saw. They were saying I know it starts a lot earlier this year because of the World Baseball Classic, so I think it's moved up by like 3 weeks.
Oh.
The
I'm kind of excited about the
training and
World
all that.
Baseball Classic.
Yeah,
I think I might get into it this year.
it'll be neat. It'll be. I mean, I've already seen people mad at Manny Machado for playing for I think the Dominican. So it's like, all right, well, people
fine.
need to be mad at something. So why not be mad
Well,
at that?
yeah.
Which is stupid. But and then also, Baltimore has an arena football team now.
Oh,
forget
that's
the
right.
name.
The Admirals.
Is that it? I know. Because I was a Washington Valor guy when they
Oh
announced
no, that's
that
the
team.
Valor.
And
Right.
then they announced the Baltimore team, and I dropped the Valor.
Right.
Is this a
Pretty
new
quick.
league that just
No,
just expanding?
Well,
spring
it-
2017.
Nice.
Maybe they don't have it.
I don't. Yeah, I'm looking at the.
Maybe I was thinking of. I was thinking of
Twitter
the
right
other.
now.
Yeah, I was thinking of the Washington team. Baltimore.
Plus, they named their head coach, and his name is Omar Smith, and I think they definitely got that from the wire.
The
I think
Omar
they,
connection.
Yeah, they had to.
Plus, they
think
play
that
on the
works
same field as the Blast.
There you
Or
go.
the same arena.
Rofo.
Well, I mean, if
I-
you can't have a professional basketball team or hockey team, I'll take indoor soccer. I guess.
When does that team start? 2018.
No, it
Or
says
this-
playing its inaugural AFL football season in spring 2017. So
Okay, they better get a team name put together. I don't know. Spring, I'm way into baseball. Hey, arena football should start like January 1st and end like February
January
28th.
5th. Oh.
Like a 2-month season, I'll be all in.
I could do like a Saturday 1 o'clock game and then hop over to Camden Yards for like a 4:30 game. Yeah, I could do that. That would be neat.
Yeah, I'd like a little flip flop. So you're sitting outside for the 1 o'clock baseball game, then you go into the air conditioning for a 4 o'clock game.
That's true.
I don't care when you put it on. I'm not watching. So
No,
you can play a little soccer game whenever you want.
We're going to a Blast game in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, we're going to Blast.
We're going to go to an arena football game.
No, I'm not going to arena football. I'm not going to arena football.
In 30 years.
No, I'm not going to arena football. That's ridiculous. You seen those games? They they're tackle
awesome.
people into walls.
Yeah, that's
like
great.
Total chaos.
No,
They have like the nets on the side of the field goal post.
Yeah.
You can kick it off that.
Okay, just wait for 10 years concussion movie with Will Smith to come out about arena football.
Think of all of the fun calls in the 105.7 saying the arena quarterback should be replacing Joe Flacco.
He's better
It's going to
than
be
Flacco.
awesome. Can't wait. We're going to be your home of the arena football team. This podcast.
Okay, no, then I'm going to start a new podcast by myself. I'm fine. My up can be the Maryland Terrapins. They just had their first conference game against the Illini, the Fighting Illini, and they won. I like some of their freshmen. Cohen, I think, is a fun guy. Reminds me a lot of Love Trimble. Like they're a similar players.
I think they're good friends. They played AAU together too.
Oh, really?
So I think that may have been part of Mello coming back, was he wanted to play with Cowan again. So
I saw say Cowan, but and I like the Cowan bringing the ball up at the point sometimes. Trimble off to the 2. I like that. And he's a good passer. Drives to the basket. Jackson looked really good today. For the first time, he really didn't impress me at all. But I mean, he's 6'7". He was putting the ball on the floor today, driving to the basket. I think they have some. There's no like Diamond Stone was one of the top 5 blue chip recruit.
Yeah.
These freshmen aren't like that, but it seems like what something you saw with Stone, which you see less with older guys, but with freshmen you see like a huge jump in performance from the beginning of the season to the end. And so I'm curious to see how these 3 freshman starters and how a bunch of freshmen on this team, how they grow and how they become good. Because this Maryland basketball team, like you could see them being top 3 in the Big Ten or the bottom 3. Like they could go either way. It seems like at this point with kind of so many question marks, so many freshmen. But it was a great start, a dominating win against Illinois. So hopefully that's my up, the Maryland Terrapins. Hopefully this is a year where they get past the Sweet 16.
I like that we always start with the positive.
Yeah.
Then we get to the negative.
Yeah. I'm glad I came up with a positive.
Yeah, I'm glad you came out with something to be happy about.
All right. Maryland basketball. Sweet.
Yeah. My down, I'm changing up my down from what the show notes say. My down is toothaches. Because I've had a really bad toothache since yesterday afternoon, and the dentist can't see me till tomorrow afternoon, so I'm in a bunch of pain.
Oh.
And if you see me, I've been drinking this tea constantly because I'm just trying to numb the pain of the tooth. So toothaches is my negative because I don't like my teeth, and I don't understand why, in all of technology that has advanced, why have we not advanced past just stupid tooth dental stuff? Like, we got lasers that can do everything. Why can't they just replace our teeth? That's my down.
Isn't there a thing called dentures? Isn't that like a thing?
Right, but
where
why
you get
can't
fake teeth put in?
But shouldn't we have to be at the point that like when you're an adult, you just go and they remove all your teeth and put in like some titanium teeth, and you just never worry about toothaches again?
I feel like I'm
what
not
would be-
into the hip hop scene, but I feel like some hip hop artists have done that with gold teeth.
Can I do that?
Yeah.
Is that expensive?
Nelly,
Like,
didn't he do that?
like,
or
why
not?
is
Grills.
why is
Thank you, Grills.
Why is grills?
That's
not
why
the
we bring
standard?
this guy on, so he can be hip
Right.
with grills. Yeah,
Grills should be the standard.
yeah. Josh, I would love for you to get a grill.
I don't have dental insurance,
Start
and
like
I
a
don't know how you
GoFundMe.
do that. A GoFundMe
A
for grills.
GoFundMe for grills.
But when you get grills, does that remove your teeth altogether so I don't have like root
you
canals and
put them
stuff?
on your-
See,
on
that's a
top of
problem.
them.
I don't want grills on top. I want them out and just replacements.
Just complete gold teeth.
Yeah, like you can get a new hip. if
Probably
you're-
will be pretty cheap.
Like, you know, if your hip is bad, you can get a new titanium hip. I want titanium teeth. So I never have to deal with teeth again, and I don't have to pay these exorbitant dental bills. I do like my dentist now. I can text message him and tell him, "Hey, I'm in a lot of pain. I need to get in."
Oh,
And
yeah?
He helps me out.
Do you ever text him pictures of your mouth, saying, "Hey, this is the one that hurts," and send him a pic,
Not of my mouth.
like a Snapchat?
No. I'll try that next time. That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah.
No, my dentist is awesome. Once he met me early in the morning before work and didn't have childcare, so he brought like his baby in a stroller that sat there while he fixed my tooth so I could go to work.
Oh, nice.
So I like my dentist.
Does he make house calls?
But I hate my teeth. He might make house calls. Maybe. I think you kind of need all the dental tools that are in that chair. Like, when you go in that dental chair, they have like that tube that everything plugs into. I don't think you can bring that with you.
My down is just the year in Maryland sports, right? The Orioles lose in the first round of the playoffs in kind of embarrassing fashion. The Ravens don't even make the playoffs this year. Michael Phelps, he retires. Now I could focus on all the medals he won, and
I thought I should have made him retire in my good.
like Maryland had a really good Olympic run actually. That should have been my up. Like the runner from Broadneck, I'm blanking on his name.
Mike Century,
a good Polish name.
Centrowitz.
Centrowicz.
There was a wrestler too, right?
The wrestler.
There was a wrestler.
Who's the swimmer from Maryland? The female did really well.
Katie
Katie
Ledecky.
Ledecky was fantastic. But I'm focused on negative. Michael Phelps retires. Well, but he retired last time too, so we'll see. We'll see.
Like that means we're going to see less of Michael Phelps.
I think Kevin Plank is going to give him many hundreds of millions reasons why not to retire, but we'll see. The Terps lose in the Sweet 16, which was a durappointment because that was the team with Trimble and Stone that was supposed to go far, and DJ Durkin and Maryland football, a lot of hype for it. Another down year for the Terps, like every year. Now the Blast won the championship, so good for the Blast, but everyone else in Maryland kind of had a down year.
And then I guess for mine, it's just going to be that the Orioles, this is yet another offseason where they're rumored to be interested in everyone, and they're looking at this guy, they're looking at that guy, and we're almost at the end of the year, and the big signing is Wellington Castillo. So
right. Well, it always makes you wonder
Duquette.
if they're really looking at the guys, or if everyone else is saying the Orioles should be looking at these guys.
Yeah.
So we're just going to go ahead and say they're looking at these guys.
I'm just excited for FanFest to go crazy when they introduce Logan Andrusik to the crowd as another one of their signings. So
yeah, we love our middle relievers.
Yeah, tons of middle relievers, and now they like the middle relievers with the long hair because they had Chaz Rowe, who I thought had the best hair in baseball.
Yeah,
and then they DFA'd him. He's now, I think, on the Braves. So he's part of that Orioles crew down there.
With Jim Johnson and Nick Markakis.
And then the pitching coaches, too.
Yeah.
And then Andrusik, so they brought him back, who I didn't really like what he brought last year. But, we'll see. I guess, it
was cheap. He was not.
Yeah,
no
I
money.
think he has an option, too. And that was the main thing, is he has an option. So, but then, we still got it probably about, what did we say, 50 days or something like that till spring training starts. So,
and we're still in the same position, right? We need a right fielder and we need a DH.
DH, yep.
Sounds like we had this conversation last year.
Yeah. And if he does it, give me a Trumbo and give me a right fielder, and I'm good.
Sign
I
Trumbo and Alvarez. I think
we're good.
Yep.
Yeah, Alvarez too. And then a right fielder though.
Right.
That still doesn't give us a right fielder.
record.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got this show. This show is going long. I blame RDT for.
Yeah, I apologize.
I blame RDT for this. Like Bert doesn't usually have that much to say.
Right. We especially if we do an interview.
Yeah.
You gonna watch the football game Sunday?
No.
Come on, it's Ravens.
I probably won't.
No, I probably won't either. It'll probably be the first one I miss.
I feel like you have to, just because in the middle of April or in March you're gonna be like, man, I'm bored.
Yeah,
that's true. I miss football. Like I wish I would have.
I'll play DraftKings and I'll pick a Raven. I'll pick Buck Allen or something, and then I'll watch it.
I'll probably
hope that he scores.
I'll watch it. I'll keep an eye on it. Maybe do the red zone thing or something.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if there's a Patriots Cowboys Super Bowl this year, I'm not gonna watch Super Bowl. I won't watch it. I'll fast forward and just watch the commercials.
I'll be rooting for the Cowboys. I'd love to see the Redskins. I could totally cheer for the Redskins if they can make a run in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't hate the Redskins.
I could do that, which is weird because I've hated Washington forever.
I don't care. Anyone but the Patriots.
Who's the Ravens playing on Sunday?
Cincinnati.
The Bungles.
I'm trying to get you one more time to mention
the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
There it is. You can play your little tune as we get out of here. You can follow us on Instagram or on Facebook. You can like us on Facebook. You can find our Facebook page. Just search Section 336.
Right. Watch the video. Hopefully you're already there.
Yeah, we're here every Tuesday around 7:30ish. You can also.
We're moving. Aren't we moving days?
Yeah,
Monday's in
wait
like 4 weeks.
Yeah,
we'll announce that later.
Yeah. Life happens. You can also follow the show on Twitter at Section 336 Show. You can go to iTunes and subscribe and write us a review. We always appreciate those. You can also follow me on Twitter at Section336. But a better Twitter follower is Eric. You can follow him on Twitter.
It's, at Barstool RDT.
Yeah.
3 letters RDT.
And that's a better Twitter. Like he actually tweets.
And
like I have Twitter, but I don't really tweet.
Photoshops. A lot. There's a lot of your face in your Twitter feed.
Yeah. That's I kind of try and save that for the season, but we'll.
Oh, I saw a little Santa Claus.
Yeah, that was a special edition. That was a special RDT clause.
Yeah.
Right.
No. If you're a Baltimore sports fan, you need to follow Barstool RDT. He's great on Twitter. Josh is still better than me. You can follow Josh on Twitter
At Josh Soroka.
All right, boys and girls. Thanks for listening. And as always, go Ravens, I guess.
No Orioles?
Go O's, sure.
Section 336 is a affiliate of 24/7 Networks. Find Section 336 on UtahStreetReport.com.
And we're out.